Good afternoon all. Welcome to the lecture of Real Analysis 2. Let us just have a look at the concepts we have studied in the last lecture. In the last lecture, we have started with the definition of an outer measure and along with its properties. What is the definition of outer measure? We have said for any set A of real numbers, we find a countable collection In of open intervals, right? That is going to cover it. That is, we are interested in finding the countable open covering for an arbitrary set of real numbers. With the help of some one or two example, I have shown you how can we find that open covering, right? Then once we find that open covering, countable collection of open covering, we were going to find out the outer measure by finding the infimum among the length of this countable collection. We know how the length of this union is being calculated. The length property we have seen. Length of union of intervals is calculated as summation of their respective length. Therefore, outer measure n star of A we were defining as inferior of summation length of In such that A is going to be contained in this. That is, In is going to be an open covering. This is what a definition is, and some properties we have seen. The first property tells that n star is a set function as it is defined on set and its codomain is non-negative extended real number. Second is n star of A is always having a non-negative value because this n star of A is actually infimum among the length, sum of length. And we know the property of length, that length is non-negative. Because sum of non-negative terms is non-negative, inferior of set having non-negative terms is again non-negative. Third property we have seen is the outer measure of an empty set is 0. Fourth, we have seen outer measure of a singleton set is also 0. Here I have written by mistake and it is 5. What it should be? N star of A is equal to 0. The fifth property we have seen is n star is monotonic. What is the meaning of monotonic? If we find the two sets A contained in B, then the outer measure of the corresponding set is having a less equal relation. That is, n star of A is less than or equals to m star of B. To prove this, we have defined two different sets where infimum of each set gives us the corresponding outer measure. If we are using this relation, that is this result, if A is contained in B, inferior A is greater or equal by inferior B, we have tried to prove the result. So, in order to prove inferior E1 is less than or equals to inferior E2, we have proved that E2 is contained in E1. Systematically, we have seen the proof of this. Now, let us come to today's lecture. In today's lecture, we were going to prove an important result that the outer measure of an interval is the length itself. Right? So, let me write the proposition. Okay, this is one of the important preposition. The outer measure of an interval is its length. Without proof also we can justify this, no? Let us try to understand. What is n star of A we have defined? N star of A we have defined infimum of summation length of this In where A is contained in union I. Just think if A itself is an interval. If A itself is an interval, then what kind of covering we were going to find? Suppose this A itself is a interval. For the time being, let me take a finite interval. Then what about the open coverings? All the open coverings will be the coverings that are going to cover this interval, right? No, rather the union as well. And no doubt this interval itself will be included in the open covering. Therefore, if I am going to find out the infimum, okay, let us consider each interval is one open covering. That is, this be the first covering, say C1, let this be second covering, third covering, fourth covering, and so on. Therefore, the interval itself will work as a covering. Then what about the infimum among the length of all these coverings? What about the infimum? This interval is giving us the infimum length, no? The interval itself is giving us the infimum length. Therefore, outer measure will be the length of the interval itself. If you understand this, it is okay. Otherwise, leave it. Let us go to the proof. The proof is being divided into three parts, three cases we can say. In the first case, we were going to prove the result for a closed and finite interval. Okay, for the first case, we will prove the result for closed and finite interval. In the second case, we will prove it for any finite interval. And for the third case, we will prove it for an infinite interval. Therefore, let us start with the notation I to be the interval. Let I be any interval. Let I be any interval. Case 1 I am going to discuss for I to be closed and finite interval. I be closed and finite interval. Closed and finite interval. Now what is our aim to prove in this? Oh, before that, let me write I. What is I? Let me write as closed interval A to B. No doubt A is less than B. Okay. In this case, what is the length of an interval?
B minus A.
Yes, it is B minus A. Good, B minus A. And what is our aim to prove? Outer measure is its a length. Therefore, shall I write my claim here as? What is the claim? M star of I, that is M star of this closed interval AB, is equal to B minus A. Correct, no? M star is equal to length. Length is B minus. This we want to prove. Now, in order to prove this result equality, M star of AB is equal to B minus A. Actually, we were going to prove it in two inequalities. That is, once we will prove this is less equal and once it is greater equal. Okay. Now, as we have started with I to be a closed and finite interval, according to the definition of an outer measure, our aim is to find out an open covering. Our aim is to find out open covering containing this interval I. Okay. Therefore, may I say for this, in order to find out the open interval covering this I, may I write the open interval covering this I with some positive epsilon, say B A minus epsilon to B plus epsilon. Is everyone agreed that this interval capital I, closed and finite interval, is now contained in this open interval? Okay. So shall I write here? Then for any epsilon greater than 0, for any epsilon greater than 0, closed interval AB is contained in A minus epsilon to B plus epsilon. Okay. Now assuming this to be my open covering, how many such open coverings are going to exist? Infinite? For every epsilon there is one open interval. No? For every epsilon there is one open interval which works as the open covering. Therefore, let us assume that there are infinite open coverings and we will find out the outer measure. Now, what is the definition of outer measure tells us? M star of I, which is equals to M star of closed interval AB, is infimum of. What is infimum? Here no need to consider the summation of length, no? Here as we have considered. Okay, why it was the summation of length? Because of covering we have taken to be union of the intervals. But in this case I am taking the covering to be a single interval. Therefore, what should be my inferior value? Inferior value is of length only, length of the respective interval. A minus epsilon to B plus epsilon. Okay, for epsilon greater than 0, closed interval AB is contained in A minus epsilon to B plus epsilon. Okay. Now what is the length of this interval? A minus epsilon to B plus epsilon. What we have to do? Upper bound minus lower bound we have to do. No? Therefore this is B plus epsilon minus A minus epsilon. Therefore what's the value? Is it B minus A plus 2 epsilon? Right? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, shall I write b minus a plus 2 epsilon, and for epsilon greater than 0. Okay? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
This closed interval AB is less than or equals to b minus a plus 2 epsilon. Right now? Inferior, if I remove, this will be less than or equals to. Correct? Now, as epsilon is arbitrary, since epsilon is arbitrary, may I write m star of closed interval AB is less than or equals to b minus a. Correct? Because for every positive it is true. Therefore, it is equally true for general value b minus. Is that okay? Therefore, we have obtained the first part of the inequality. Right now, our aim is to prove this. Our aim is to prove this m star of a to b is b minus a. We have proved the first part of that as an inequality. Right? Now, let us go for proving the reverse part. What we should prove in the reverse part? M star of AB is greater or equal by B minus A. Right now, for this we will find out a countable collection of open intervals covering the given closed interval. Therefore, let me go for considering. Now, consider a countable collection. Now, whether such a countable collection exists or not. Countable collection of open intervals IN covering closed interval AB. Right now, what kind of covering we were considering? Closed interval AB is containing union IN, and or one can write union n equals to 1 to infinity IN. This is what actually our countable collection is. Right now, if you are having a difficulty at any step, you can stop me and ask. Right? Okay, for this interval we have found the collection of open covering. What kind of covering it is, let me show. I have shown you in the previous lecture also, but still, if this is my closed interval A to B, say I, now our aim is to find out IN, countable collection of open intervals which covers it. Now what I will do, first I will take the union of open intervals like this. Okay, and find the union of all so that single point should not be missed. All those are we will denote by I1, I2, I3 and so on. And if I take the union of all those, whether it will contain the closed interval I or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and how many such open coverings we can find? Infinite, right? Therefore, there exists a countable collection of open intervals covering A, that is open covering areas. Now, we have written one statement of Inner-Borel theorem. What statement of Inner-Borel theorem says? For every open covering, if the corresponding set is closed and bounded, for every open covering, there exists one finite subcovering. Okay? Therefore, let me write since this interval, closed interval AB is closed and bounded, correct now? This is closed and bounded. Therefore, by which theorem? By Inner-Borel theorem. We have written the statement, right now? Inner-Borel theorem. This open cover has finite subcover. That is, we can cover this closed interval AB instead of countable collection, we can cover it by the finite collection as well. Okay, let me show you how, for an example, how this can be covered by a finite cover. If I take the example 1 to 2 as my interval, can you find out finite number of open intervals covering this? What kind of finite interval of finite cover you will find? Okay, first I will take an open interval, say 0 to 1.1. Next, I'll take 1 to 1.5. Next, I'll take 1.4 to 2.1. Now take the union. How many intervals I have written? 3 intervals I have written, right? Correct now? 0.1 to 1. Sorry, 1.1. Then 1.1 to 1.5. 1.4 to 2.1. These kind of intervals I have written. And if I take the union of all these 3 open intervals, it is going to cover the closed interval 1 to 2. Right? Because 1 is closed in the first interval, 2 is closed in the third interval, and all the rest points are also covered. This is a finite open subcover. Right? And this guarantee was given by Hindenburg theorem. Therefore, instead of this countable open cover, we will write finite open cover. Therefore, may I write this implies this closed interval AB is contained in union IN. Okay, union finite N one can say, or one can write, or one can change the symbol. IN I have written N equals to 1 to K I can write. See, it is good. N equal to 1 to K. Therefore, in the previous statement, we have written N equal to 1 to infinity. Now we were writing N equal to 1 to K. Finite subcover. Okay. Now, what the job we were going to do? We were going to find out the subcovers in a specific way. What the specific way is? Let me show you. I'm going to find out the specific way. Okay. Suppose this is my closed interval A to B. Our aim is to find out finite open cover. Rather, it's a subcover, right? Now, first interval we will select A1, B1. Okay. First interval, let me write I1, which I'm going to select as A1, B1. How I'm going to select it? I'm going to select A1, B1 around A. Therefore, here I will write A1 and here I will write B1. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
This is my first. Now, if B1 is less than B, if B1 equal to B, process ends. But if B1 less than B, we want to find out one more interval. Let me find out one more interval, say I2, written by A2, B2, such that this is going to cover B1. Therefore, what is my interval now? Here it is A2, B2. Again, if B2 less than B, we have to go for third interval. What should be my third interval taken? The third interval I3 is taken as A3, B3, which is going to cover this point B2. Therefore, here let me write A3 and here it is B3. And just go on continuing the process. And as we were saying, there is a finite subcover. This process is going to end at some finite interval, say Ik. And what that Ik I am going to write? AK, BK, right? So what should be my position of AK, BK? Here continuing the process, let it be somewhere AK and BK. Now take the union of all these intervals, I1 to Ik. Whether it is going to cover our A to B closed interval? Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Right? Understood how we have selected the coverings now? Okay. Now let me write the statement. Here I am going to write, this implies there exists an open interval I equal to A1 B1 such that A belongs to I1 and A1 strictly less by A strictly less by B1. Correct now? This is what we have selected. Okay. Then we have written if B1 less than B. Here still B1 is less than B, no? We have not reached to the point B yet. Therefore, if B1 less than B, then there exists another interval. An interval, say I2 I am going to write. Interval I2. What this I2 is? It is A2, B2. Such that. How such that A2 less than B1 less than B2. That is, this A2 B2 is going to cover the point B1. Correct na? Okay. And continuing in this way, we obtain a sequence of open intervals. What is the sequence we will obtain? A1 B1, A2 B2, continue till AK BK from IN, such that. What such that? Let me write in general AI and BA. What is the number between AI and BI now? Look at the two statements. A1, B1 we have A. In A2, B2 we have B1. What for A3, B3? We have B2 in between, no? Therefore, in general for AI, BI, may I write BI minus 1? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Therefore, now one can say that this closed interval AB is covered by finite number of open intervals, and now we will go for finding the length also. Okay. Here I just put a statement. Since closed interval AB is covered by finite number of open intervals, this process must terminate finitely with AK less than B less than BK. Okay. Now we will go for finding the length. Therefore, we get summation length of IN. What this N is from 1 to infinity. And no doubt, this is surely greater equal by summation length N is equal to 1 to K length of the intervals. Right now, this is the length of countable collection of open cover, and this is the length of finite open cover. Surely the length of countable open cover is greater equal by length of finite subcover. Correct, no? Now how many terms we have in this? Length of I1 plus length of I2 dot up to length of IK. Okay, and we know the length of every term. What is the length of every term? What about length of I1? I1 is A1 B1. What is the length?
B1 minus A1.
B minus A1.
Is it B1 minus A1? Good. Next, B2 minus A2. And till up to, let me write K minus 1 also. BK minus 1 minus AK minus 1 plus BK minus AK. Now, I am going to rearrange the terms on the right hand side as and A2. Therefore, what the pairing gives me? B1 minus A2. Okay. What about the next pairing? B2 with, what will be the next pairing? Is it A3? Okay. Continue. Let me check for BK minus 1. What will be the pair of BK minus 1? Is it AK?
Yes, ma'am.
And what the term remains lastly, this is BK.
BK.
Okay. This is just a rearrangement we have done for the sake of proving our result. Okay. Let me time being call it as statement number 2. Now we'll try to understand what are the values of every bracket, and we were going to prove that every bracketed value is positive. Check how it is. But what about the terminology for A2, B2? We know A2 less than B1 less than B2. This we know, na? Let us look at the sketch. B1 lies between A to B2. Therefore, I can write divide between A to B2, which what is it imply? What is the B1 minus A2? Our first bracket. B1 minus. What is the value? And this
Non-negative.
inequality. Is it positive? Can I say greater than 0?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is strictly greater, right? What for the second? Let me write A3 less than B2 less than B3. Therefore, what should it give? Gives me the value of second bracket. B2 minus A3. And may I say it is positive again? Okay, and lastly, continuing this, I can write AK less than BK minus 1 less than BK. And what it is giving me? BK minus 1 minus AK positive. Therefore, here, whatever the brackets we have made on the right hand side of the statement number 2, all are the positive terms. And my question is, if we remove all the positive terms on the right hand side of 2, what will be the effect on this inequality? Yes? The right hand side is already smaller than the left hand side. And again, we are removing some positive terms. Therefore, may I say the inequality continued as it is?
Remains same.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it remains same. Good. Inequality remains as it is because we are removing positive terms so that this right hand side becomes still smaller. Therefore, the inequality continues. Therefore, let me just write removing the positive terms, positive bracketed terms I'll write for the sake of convenience. Positive bracketed terms from RHS of, what's the number? 2, na? RHS of 2 we get. Shall I write summation n equals to 1 to infinity length of n is greater equal by. If I remove the bracketed terms, what remains with us? Is it minus a1 plus bk only? And let me call this now to be statement number 3. Now we want to check what is the value of minus a1 bk. A1 bk are all the arbitrary points we have plotted for our sake of convenience. Therefore, we will try to find out the relation of this value with the length of the interval. For this, let me just continue further. Further, what we know, A belongs to open interval A1, E1, right? Okay, so we say A1 is less than A. A belongs to A1, B1. Therefore, A1 is less than A. What it implies if I take a negative on both the sides? Is it minus A1 greater than minus A? Which I can write is minus A less than minus A1. Correct, no? Simple mathematics we were following. Just to find out the value, here we have minus a1 term, no? Therefore, I have just found the value of minus a1 with A. Now we'll find the value of bk with B. That one has to do. Similarly, B belongs to AK, BK, correct? Therefore, what this implies, B less than BK, right now? Now what I adding 4 and 5. Okay, what we have done, actually whatever this terms we have obtained as the right hand side minus 7 and bk, these are the intervals we have made for our sake of convenience. Our aim is to find out the relation of this value with the length of the interval. In order to find out this, we have written the two equations 4 and 5. If I just add 4 and 5, what will happen? Addition, na? Minus a plus b. Can I write b minus a strictly less by minus A1 plus BK. Okay, now here we have obtained minus A1 plus BK is greater by B minus A. Therefore, let me put this here in equation number 3. Okay, or equation 3 becomes, what this equation 3 is going to become, summation n equals to 1 to infinity length of ion is greater by B minus A. Right now? Or shall I write in between this term also? Actually, this is greater equal by minus A1 plus BK, and we have found this is strictly greater by B minus A. What we have obtained actually, summation n equals to 1 to infinity length of the intervals ion is strictly greater by B minus A. Therefore, in outer measure actually we were finding the infimum of all such a length, no? Infimum of sum of such a length. Okay. For this set. What I'm telling, suppose how many such a coverings exist as we have seen? Infinite open
Infinite.
coverings. Ion we have written, Jn one can write, Pn, Sn, Tn. These many coverings can exist, for which length of this every covering is greater by B minus A. But in this outer measure, what we were finding? Infima of summation of length of such intervals. No? But every length is greater by B minus A. Then if I find the infima, if I put all these length in one bracket and if I find the infima, what about the relation with this B minus A? Getting my question or not? Taking
M
infima,
star is greater than B minus A.
strictly greater?
Greater or equal?
Yes, it is greater or equal. Can you justify? Yes? Greater equal is the correct answer.
Because m star is equals to infimum of summation length of ion,
Yes.
and summation of 1 to infinity L length of ion is greater than B minus A.
Means this B minus A works as a lower bound.
Yes.
Correct? No, this B minus A works as the lower bound for this set. And it may be possible that it may be a greatest lower bound as well. I'll tell you with an example. Correct? Na? I'll tell you with an example. Let me change the color of my pen. For those who are getting confused yet, why it is greater equal. Okay. What I'm giving you for example, say, you should not write these examples in the proof, okay? If I give you open interval A to B as the interval under the consideration, right? Then for each x in I, for each x in I, may x is greater than A. That is, every element of this set I or interval I is greater than A. But what about the infima? What about infima here? This is A, no? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. Therefore, once we get equal to case. Okay. Suppose now same statement I'll write and same interval for every x in I. Let me plot the interval here A to B. And suppose I find one point C somewhere to the left of A. Therefore, may I say for every x in I, x is greater than C? Yes or no?
Yes,
Every
ma'am.
element in this is greater than C. For what about the infima? What about the infima? Greater than C, no? Therefore, both the possibilities holds, greater and equal. Same statement for all x in I, x is greater than A gives you once equality. For x greater than C, once it is give greater equal. Therefore, combining both the cases, one can say the possibility is greater equal. Right? Therefore, now I'll just continue. Infima, length of, summation length of ion n running from 1 to infinity such that this closed interval A B is contained in union In n equals to 1 to infinity is greater equal by b minus a. Though every element in the set is strictly greater by b minus a, one has to write infima is greater or equal by b minus a. Why it is so? Because this works as the lower bound. We don't know whether it is greatest or both the possibilities holds. In this example, x greater than a I have written and a works as the lower bound, which is greatest lower bound. In the second possibility, c works as the lower bound, but it is not the greatest lower bound. For both the possibility, one has to think. It is the lower bound, but it may or may not be greatest lower bound. That's why we have to add greater equal by b minus a. I hope this is clear to everyone. I'm giving simple
ma'am.
examples to understand actually. Okay. What is the left hand side? M star of closed interval a to b, which is greater or equal by b minus a, and let me call it as statement number 6. What we have proved in statement number 1, no? Yes. What statement number 1 says? M star of ab is less equal by b minus a. Statement number 6 says m star of ab is greater or equal by b minus a. Therefore, from 1 and 6, what can I conclude? M star of AB is B minus A. That is outer measure of finite, closed and bounded. We have it closed and bounded interval is its length. Okay, is the first case clear to everyone? First case we have proved
Yes, ma'am.
closed and bounded. Okay, let me go for second case. Now in the second case we were considering I to be any interval, any finite interval. Okay, then what are the possibilities? Finite is the restriction only, not closed. Therefore the interval may be open, maybe semi-open, maybe semi-closed or anything, right now? Just it is finite. We don't know the nature. Now, in order to prove the result, what we will do, we will find out one closed interval contained in this I. We will find out one closed interval contained in this I. That is, if this is the, let me take open for the time being. If this is I, is the given open interval, A to B say. Okay, then our aim is to find out the closed interval contained in J, contained in I, which is J, where there is some restriction we are giving on the length. Let us see what is the restriction. Then, for any epsilon greater than 0, there exists a closed interval J, such that, what such that? J is contained in I. And length of J is greater by length of I minus epsilon. This is the condition we are imposing. Length of that closed interval must be greater by length of I, this original open interval, minus epsilon. Let us take a quick simple example to understand whether such a kind of closed interval we can find or not. Okay. For the time being, let me take this open interval to be 1/4. Okay. And epsilon value, let me take 1. For any epsilon, we have to prove this. Correct? Now, let me time being take epsilon is equal to 1. Now, what is the length of the original interval? Is it 3? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what about this right hand side now tells me L of I minus epsilon. This is 3 minus 1, 2, no? Epsilon we have taken 1, therefore 2. Now what is the job? The job is to find out the interval, closed interval J having the length greater than L of I minus epsilon, that is 2. Can we find this? Is the question, no? Can we find this? This is the open interval 1 to 4. Original, this is I actually. Now our aim is to find out the closed interval J whose length is greater than 2. This is total length is 3. Can you find out J whose length is greater than 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me mark a point 1.5 to say 3.9. This be my closed interval J say. What is the length of this J? 3.9 minus 1.
2.4.
Yes, it is 2.4. And whether it is greater than 2 or not? Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you do for every epsilon now? Whatever
Yes,
epsilon
ma'am.
given, can we find a closed interval J whose length is greater than by L of I minus epsilon? The example I have given just to understand the condition imposed on the closed interval. Okay. Therefore, with this restriction, such a closed interval J always exists. Okay. Therefore, can I write now L of I, L of J we have found to be greater than L of I minus epsilon, and may I say for this L of J this is equal to M star of J, because this is my closed interval, closed and finite, no? And by case 1, we have already proved true that if the interval is closed and finite, length is nothing but outer measure. Therefore, here I can write L of I minus epsilon is strictly less than by M star of J, and which is strictly less than by M star of I. Why? Because J is contained in I, and monotonicity property says M star of J is less than or equals to M star of I. Right now? Or you can write M star is monotone. We have proved it in the last lecture, no? Monotone property. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Write simply L of I minus epsilon is less equal by M star of I time being, let me call it as statement number 1. So 7. Okay, now let me move towards the closure of this interval I. Why closure I am selecting? Because the fact knows that closure of an open interval is closed set. Correct now? Closure of an open interval. What is the value? Is it the closed set?
Yes, ma'am.
And for that closed set, outer measure is equals to its length. Correct? That's why now we were involving the concept of closure of this I. Okay, here I am writing let I bar be the closure of I. You must understand why closure is involved. Closure of I, then what we know, I is always contained in its closure, and clearly I bar is or I closure is closed set, because we have taken I to be an open interval. Therefore, its closure must be a closed set. Then what about the outer measure? Outer measure of I is less than or equals to outer measure of I bar. Right now? Which property I have used again?
Monotone.
Monotone. Good. M star is monotone. Now M star of I bar is equal to length of I bar, no? Reason? Case 1. Because this is the closed set. And for closed set already we have proved. Or I can write here equal to. It is better to write in the same statement so that it's clear. This is equal to length of I bar. And may I say this is length of I also? Now what I have written, M star of I less than or equals to M star of I bar. First we have used monotone property. Then it is equal to length of I bar by case 1. Then it is equal to length of I. Length of I bar and length of I as the same values. Why same values? They have, if I select I to be open interval AB, What is its closure? Closed interval AB, no? And then what about
Yes,
the
ma'am.
length of both? What is length of I?
Same. B minus.
Yes, it is same. Length of I is B minus A. Length of I closure is also B minus A. Therefore, these two values are going to be same. Therefore, we have written here length of I closure is equal to length of I. Right? Now, let me call this to be 8C. So before that I'll write m star of I is less than or equals to L of I, and this I'll call as 8. Now look at our 7. L of I minus epsilon is less than or equals to m star of I, and m star of I is less than or equal to L of I. Therefore if I combine both 7 and 8, what inequality I'll get? L of I minus epsilon less than or equals to n star of I less than or equals to L of I. This is what we have obtained. But what about epsilon again? As epsilon is small arbitrary, since epsilon is small and arbitrary, may I write the inequality L of I less than or equals to n star of I less than or equals to L of I, which concludes that n star of I is equal to L of I. Where is any finite interval? Second case we have proved, right? What the third case left with? Infinite interval, right? Any difficulty in the second case?
No,
I'll
ma'am.
just repeat. And we have started with finite interval. Then we have found one interval contained in I which is closed. That is J with this property. Once the property holds, we have written L of J is nothing but outer major. Therefore, which finally gives us L of I minus epsilon is M star of I. And with this conclusion, M star of I is less than L of I. Therefore, combining both, we have written, and since epsilon is arbitrary, we can write L of I less than or equals to M star of I less than or equals to L of I, which proves that outer major is equals to length of any finite interval. Now let us go to case number 3. If I is any infinite interval, if I is any infinite interval, can you tell me the length of this interval? Length of an infinite interval.
Infinite.
Infinite.
It is infinite. Therefore, what should be the value of your outer major? Our aim is to prove outer major is equal to length. We know length of an infinite interval is infinite. Therefore, what should be the value of your outer major?
Infinite.
Yes, it is infinite. What is the job in this section? Just to prove that outer major is infinite. Right now? Now, to prove that outer major of this infinite interval is infinite, what we will do? Again, we will try to find out one closed interval contained in I and whose length value is any real number. Since I is infinite interval, okay, then for any real number delta, there is a closed interval J such that this J is contained in I and length of J is delta. Getting me or not? This is our real line. Time being, let me consider I to be an infinite interval A to infinity somewhere, right? This is my I. Now, if one real number delta is given to you, can you find out a closed interval J in I? Suppose I have given you a value of delta to be 1.1. Can you find out a closed interval J whose length is given delta, that is 1.1.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And for any delta I'm saying, if I given you any real number, can you find such a open interval, such a closed interval J?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
fine. Therefore, here we have written there is a closed interval J such that J is contained in I and length of J is equal to delta. Okay. Now let us use the definition of an outer measure. Therefore, here let me first write J is contained in I. Then what about outer measure of these two relations?
Less than or
Yes, it is less than or equals to, reason is n star is monotone, right? But what is the value of n star J? Delta, no? What is m star of I we have found? M star of I we have from greater equal by delta, where delta is any real number. Now you tell me the possibility of m star. Outer measure of an interval I is the value which is greater equal by delta, where delta is any real number. In short, I can say outer measure of this interval is greater equal by any real number. Greater equal by any real number. What is the possibility? Only possibility.
infinity.
Yes, it is infinity. Therefore, then we must have m star of I equal to infinity. Right now? Okay. And as I is infinite interval, what about its length?
infinite.
Yes, it is infinite. L of I is infinite. Hence, we can say outer measure is equal to length of an interval in infinite interval case. Therefore, combining all the three cases from case 1, 2, and 3, for any interval we can write. For any interval I, we have what we have, m star of I is equal to length of I, that is, or thus outer measure of an interval is its length. Hence the proof of this proposition. If you have any queries on this, you can ask me. It is essential to understand the proof of case 1 because rest to proof depends on case 1 only. A nice construction we have seen in case 1. Okay? Whether you have a difficulty, you can unmute yourself and ask me. Let me repeat the case 1. For finding the outer measure of this closed and finite interval, we have taken open interval covering AB, and the interval we have taken A minus epsilon to B plus epsilon, where we get, according to the definition of outer measure, this is infimum of length of A minus epsilon to B plus epsilon, which is actually B minus A plus 2 epsilon. Therefore, if I remove this inferior word, m star of A minus B is less than or equals to B minus A plus 2 epsilon, and as epsilon is arbitrary, one can write m star of AB is less than or equals to B minus A. Now we want to prove the reverse part of the inequality. For this, for every countable collection of open intervals, we have found finite open subcover by Hine-Borel theorem. And as there is a finite subcover, that is, there exists finite number of open intervals covering the given closed interval A to B, we have named these intervals like this, I1, I2, Ik, covering these numbers A1, A2 like this, whatever we have discussed. Then we know that summation n from 1 to infinity length of interval, that is length of countable collection of open covering is greater equal by length of finite subcover. Then we have found the values of every length of every subinterval. Then we have just rearranged the terms. We found that every bracketed term is positive. Removing the bracketed term on the right hand side, inequality continues as it is. Therefore, we left with minus a1 plus bk. But these are the points we have marked. So our aim is to find out the value of this with the length of an interval. We have found the value that minus a1 plus bk is greater by b minus a. Substituting here, we have obtained this as greater than by b minus a. Now our aim is to find out infima by the definition of an outer measure. In the definition, we are taking a set of summation length of in, where every length is greater than b minus a. Therefore, infimum is greater equal by b minus a. Hence, we have proved both the parts of the inequality, proving m star of ab is equal to b minus a. Okay. Please, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will start. Yes, any difficulty from student side? If you have, you can ask. Yes, you should respond me actually.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. If it is not, let me stop then. Thank you for being with me for today's lecture.